And whenever hurricanes happen, it's always a chance for us to refresh ourselves on what the law is on trees, and it sometimes surprises people about who's responsible for damage when a tree comes tumbling down, whether it's damage to their fence or to their car or to their home.
Correct. And I think that you should remind everybody.
Okay. Well, here's the bottom line, folks, and that is this, is that if you've got a healthy tree and it gets knocked over by the act of God, whatever damage that tree does, it is that person's responsibility. I didn't say that very clearly, okay? Let's put it this way. Let's say that you've got a tree on your piece of property. It's a healthy tree. It gets knocked down by an act of God. It falls on your neighbor's house, your neighbor's fence, your neighbor's car, and your neighbor comes knocking on your door and says, hey, your tree fell on my house, fence, car, did a bunch of damage. You need to write me a check for it. Well, that is not true. When in that situation, when it's a healthy tree and it comes down, your neighbor is responsible for their own repairs of their house, their fence, their car, and that's the law of trees here in the state of Florida.
Yes. And Tom, is there any difference if it is a non-healthy tree where the homeowner was alerted multiple times in writing that there is a problem with the tree, and now due to the hurricane, the tree came down and neighbors? What is it the same?
So it would be different. So let's just say that you walked outside and you saw a tree on your neighbor's property, not your property, but your neighbor's property. It's dead. It's declining. It's got a dead branch. It's leaning. It's dangerous. If you give notice to your neighbor by certified mail, so that you have evidence of delivery, and then that tree comes down, you can sue your neighbor for damages because you did give your neighbor notice that this tree was dead, declining, dead branch, something about to happen to it. Then you could sue your neighbor for your damages.
Okay. So in that specific circumstance, that there was a situation where the tree was determined to be in a problem, and you gave notice to the neighbor so that you have proof of that notice.
Yeah, and that could even apply now to Hurricane Ian, because let's just say that because of the hurricane, there was a normally healthy tree. It's been severely damaged. It's badly leaning. It's dying now because of the hurricane. It's not done any damage yet, but now would be a time for you to take a look at it and then give your neighbor notice by certified mail that this is a problem tree, and if it comes down, you can be looking to them for damages. Chrissy, last week I had a longtime client call me. He says, Tom, guess what? My tree did fall over because of Hurricane Ian, did do damage to my neighbor's fence and house. And am I responsible for those repairs? I said the answer is no. And he goes, well, Tom, anyway, I want to be a good neighbor. I want to write my neighbor a check for $3,000 just to be a good neighbor. I said, that's fine. But before you deliver that check to her, make sure you get a release that says if you give her this $3,000, she's done and over with. She is not going to be suing you for any additional monies.
Very important.
Yeah. So I thought that was very, strictly being a good neighbor. I appreciated that for him.
But also your advice to him how to make sure that he also, being a good neighbor, he still protects himself from further.
Hey, folks, we're the Olson Law Group in Orlando.